Hello and welcome to your yoga class. My name is Jenny and this is a core and restore class. Today we're going to be focusing on kickstarting your core. So some props props are your friend. So go ahead and gather some props. If you do have a block or two, those can come in handy to bring the ground closer. As you can see, I like to sit on one. And as we get into the restore part, it's just a nice little addition to bring in some support for the body. Bolsters, meditation cushions, if you have them, grab some of those. Other things that you could use, blankets, big thick rolled up blankets, stack of pillows, couch cushions. And if you don't have blocks, hardcover books can be utilized as well. And then just blankets of various sizes. I like to have kind of a medium-sized one and then a thicker one, so that you just have these props readily available to bring support into the body, not just during the restore part, but through the core part. If at any point feels like props would be a good way to support your practice. There's a misconception that props are just for beginners, or that you need to eventually learn to not work with props. I've been practicing for over 10 years. I use props in every single class that when I personally, in my personal practice. So props are your friends, don't be afraid of that. And then as far as, kickstarting the core is the theme. And so one tool that we're going to be using for that is Breath of Fire, which is a very activating pranayama practice, activating breath work, where it's a very forceful exhale through the nose. So have some tissues nearby, because we're going to do 3 different rounds of that, one seated, one lying down, and one standing. And we want our nasal cavity nice and clear because it's a very forceful exhale. So I will demonstrate that now, but I'll re-cue it when we bring it into our practice. But the pranayama, so breath of fire, like I said, it's very activating. It's a very forceful exhale out of the nose as you draw the belly in. So we're really activating those muscles in the core to draw the belly in and force that exhale out. And then the inhale is just very passive. So I'll come a little bit closer so you can kind of see what's going on with the belly. So for this, it's going to be this very... So you can see that belly drawing in really forcefully. And then, I hope it's not too much with the microphone, but the forceful exhale, you can hear. And then if the inhale starts to become more active and forceful, it's going to sound a little like hyperventilating. So what we don't want is this kind of, we don't want that. That's an active inhale as well as exhale. So we just want to have the inhale just kind of be a little more passive. So it's more of a, all right. And one other thing to stay aware of is, like I said, this is a very activating breath. So we are using it in kind of the physical realm to bring some activation into the core, to bring a little, fire in the belly, and really kind of activate through the whole body. However, if you're already feeling fired up, if you today are experiencing heightened emotions, especially coming off of the full moon, if you're really anxious today, just stay aware of how this breath starts to manifest for you emotionally and mentally. Because what I don't want is to send you into, a hyperventilative state. I don't want to send you into a panic attack if I'm not there to help guide you through it. So bring in, your self-awareness, your discernment, and self-regulation to kind of decide if throughout the practice if this breath work is right for you today, if it serves you today. So not to scare you away from the breath, it's just very powerful. So just want you all to be aware of that. So let's jump into it. Let's start in a seated position. So as you can see, I am sitting up on a block. You can also bring in, cushions, blankets, anything that you want to sit on. This is nice because it lifts the hips, gives a little more space in the belly and in the hips. just so that you can sit a little bit taller. And then again, we have a little more space in our belly to bring in that breath of fire. So as you're seated, if it feels good to cross the legs or maybe extend the legs out, and if being down on the ground like this doesn't feel good for you, you can sit in a chair. You can still find that nice solid connection, that lengthening up through the crown of the head. So feel free to sit on a couch or a chair if that feels better. But if you take that, plant your feet firmly on the ground, sit nice and stable in the sits bones, and then lengthen up through the crown of the head. So we're finding this tall seat, but we're not, forceful. We're not super regulated. So go ahead and relax through the shoulders, relax through the face. Hands can just land wherever feels good. Maybe hands on the thighs. You can even turn the palms up if you're feeling a little more receptive and open today. I'll just take a moment to settle in before we start to activate our Ujjayi breathing, or our, breath of fire. So if you have any wiggles in the body, go ahead and get those out. Maybe a few little kinks, might hear some snap, crackles, and pops. And then start to settle in. Really rooting down towards the sits bones, using that nice stable base to lengthen up through the crown of the head. But again, soften in the face, relax in the shoulders. Allow any noises, any potential distractions outside of you to just become a part of the process. Allowing them to be within your realm of awareness, but not pulling your awareness away from right now, from presence. That might be anything that you hear in my background, anything that you hear in your background. But not paying too much attention to what's going on outside of you, because we really want to journey inward. Checking in with the body, just seeing what's up today, seeing how you're feeling, find any aches or pains, any tenderness, any tension. That could be in the physical body, it could also be in the emotional body. Checking in with your mental state, your energetic state. With no judgment, no expectation. Just pure awareness. Just taking a moment to find your baseline so that you know where you're starting from today. Finding a little deepening in the breath. Starting to draw the breath in and out of the nose and sending it down towards the belly. Now I know our lungs don't go into our belly, but when we think of deep belly breathing, what we do is we allow the diaphragm to lower as we press that belly out, which then creates more space for those lungs to expand. And then on the exhale, as we draw the belly in, that helps draw the diaphragm up and help press all of that air out. So on that exhale, as you draw the belly in, also bring a little hugging in of the ribs so that we're really starting to focus on that core. If Ujjayi breathing is part of your practice, or you would like it to be, you could start to bring in that activation of the muscles in the back of the throat. We'll reconnect to this after our first round of breath of fire. And as you continue to breathe, before we start with the breath of fire, I'll let you know kind of how it's going to go. So we'll kick that in, or that very active exhale, passive inhale. And we'll do that for about a minute, so somewhere around like 100 breaths, since it's a little more fast paced. And then at the end, we'll exhale all the air out. We'll pause at empty for as long as you can. Then we'll take a nice deep inhale, holding at the top for as long as you can. And then we'll exhale out of the mouth. And then that'll be the end of our breath of fire. So we'll start with it just seated. Like I said, we'll do it 3 rounds, 1 lying down, 1 standing in different poses. So sit up nice and tall. This is where you might want to use a tissue first to kind of clear that nasal passage, since it is a very forceful exhale. Go ahead and do that real quick. Don't really want to snot everywhere, but it's okay if you do. Okay, so again, sitting up nice and tall. It's a very forceful exhale out of the nose as you draw the belly in. So when you're ready, nice deep inhale and breath of fire. Keep going about halfway through. Draw the belly in. Exhale all the air out. Pause and hold it empty. Hold for as long as you can in that emptiness. When you're ready, inhale through the nose. Filling up nice and full. Pause at the top. Relax in the face, relax in the shoulders. Settle around that fullness. Maybe taking just a little bit more air. And when you can't hold it any longer, out of the mouth, exhale. Let it all go. Beautiful work. That's first round of breath of fire. Just feel that energy within you. Feel that core start to kick up. Beautiful work. When you're ready, go ahead and remove any props you may be sitting on. We're going to come to a seated position. We're going to spread the feet a little wider than hip distance, planting the feet on the ground, knees bent. Lengthening up through the crown of the head, we're grounding down towards the sits bones. We'll find a few rounds of seated cat-cow. So inhaling to lengthen up, drawing the shoulders back. Gaze could lift, finding a little arch in the back. Exhale, rounding out, tucking the chin towards the chest as you rock back onto the tailbone. A few more rounds here, finding the spinal articulation. And inhaling to open up through the front side of the body. Exhaling to open up through the back. Awesome work. Now from here, we're going to kickstart that core. So from this seated position, we're going to walk the feet in. Hands could stay on the knees, or if you'd like, you could bring the hands back behind you for support. That is always an option. Now we're going to come up. Well, first, lengthen through the spine. Draw the belly in. Hug ribs in. So you've got that core activating there. And then if you'd like, just come up onto the toes so the heels lift, or you could hover the feet. All right, so when you're ready, hands can stay on the knees or hands come to heart center. Inhale. Exhale, extend the right leg out. Inhale, draw it back in. Exhale, left leg out. Inhale, draw it back in. Now you can keep the heels on the ground and extend the leg out along the ground, especially if you're still working on building strength in the legs and in the hip flexor. Or those feet could hover as you extend out. Bring it back in. Extend out. Bring it back in. We're working the hip flexors. We're working that core. Notice if you start to round out in the back, lift through the chest, lengthen through the spine. Again, those hands can come back behind you. The feet could stay on the ground or they could hover. You might start to feel this a little in the quads. Maybe not a little, maybe a lot. Nice and slow. Exhaling to extend. Inhaling to bring it back. Resist the urge to go fast right now. All right, we'll take 3 more to each side. So we've got 3, 2, embrace any shaking, and 1, last one. Awesome work. And release the feet down. Come back up. As we plant the feet, take them a little wider. A few more rounds of cat-cow. Inhale, lengthen and open. Exhale, round it out. All right, let's release through the hip flexors, bringing the hands back behind us and knees side to side, little windshield wipers. All right, when you're ready, coming back up to a seat, your choice here if you leave the knees bent or if it would feel better to extend the legs out. Now from here, we're going to take it down towards the ground, but we're going to activate through that core, so lengthen up through the crown of the head. You can release the hands out in front of you, they can walk down the legs, they can come back behind you for support. What we're going to be doing is lying back as far as we can, keeping the spine nice and straight, then when we have to, round out, pressing one vertebrae at a time. So lengthen on the inhale, draw belly in, hug ribs in. Exhale, lean it back. Little reverse zombie here. Keeping that spine straight for as long as we can. Then when you need to, without the feet raising up, if they're extended, release through the low back, one vertebrae at a time. Embrace the shake. Send it all the way down. Awesome work. When you're ready, bend the knees, plant the feet, lift the hips, scoop the tailbone down, and then set the hips back down, so we're spreading that low back out along the mat. Your choice if you want to keep the legs here, if you want to hover the legs, trying to bring the knees in line with the hips, but it's okay if they're not. That takes some flexibility and some strength, so you can draw the knees in. You could also have the legs extended, toes flexed back. So here we're going to bring in that breath of fire from our backs. So hands can be down alongside the body, palms pressing into the mat. They could also be back behind you, hands interlaced, opening up through the head, elbows open, chin lifting. Your choice if the head and shoulders stay on the ground or if you want to raise them up. So lots of different levels for you to explore. One is not better than the other. Just find what works best for you. You could also kind of bring in a little Pilates move where you pump the arms. So again, we've got that active exhale, passive inhale, clear out the nasal passage if you need. If the legs are extended, flex the toes, nice and active. Again, legs could be here, here, or here. And when you're ready, start in with that breath of fire. Keep going. This will probably feel a little different with the back flat on the ground. When you're ready, exhale all the way down to empty. Pause, hold it empty. When you need to, inhale through the nose all the way to full. Pause, hold at the fullness. Soften around the fullness. Relax in the face, relax in the shoulders. You can release the head down if you'd like. When you're ready, send that exhale out of the mouth. Beautiful work. Feel that energy, feel that fire. All right, we're not quite done here on the back. Now, next move we're going to be doing. You can have legs extended, toes flexed back, or knees could stay bent. And we're going to be lowering the feet down on the exhale, and then raising them back up. Now, it's your choice how far the legs go down, but what we don't want is the low back to lift up or upper body to come up off the ground. So we want to have that nice length through the spine, keep the shoulders pressing down, keep the head pressing down, keep that low back flush along the ground. Flex toes back. Hands can be doing whatever you'd like here. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, release the legs down just as far as feels okay, hovering. Inhale, raise them back up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, raise. Belly drawing down, ribs hugging in, core is active here as you exhale to lower. Inhale to raise. Again, if it feels better to have the knees bent, you can do that. And you don't need to come very far. The feet could lower just a few inches and raise. Or a few feet and raise. Embrace the shaking. Feel into the sensation in the quads and the thighs and the hamstrings and the hips and the hip flexors and the core. All right, we'll take 3 more here. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling to raise for 3. Exhaling lower. Inhaling for 2. Last one, exhaling to lower. Inhaling to raise. And bend the knees towards the chest. If it would feel good, grab onto the knees. Your choice if you want to stay in this little ball, maybe rocking side to side or circling through the knees. Might feel good to open up through the knees, keeping the toes flexed back, finding a little reclined froggy pose here. Beautiful work. When you're ready, we're going to come up to a seat. So if it would feel good in the spine, rounding out, finding a little rocking horse here. So tucking the chin in towards the chest, finding a little massage along the spine, just if that feels okay. If it doesn't, just start to make your way up to a seated position. And we're going to find our way into a tabletop. So from here, you could rock up, cross the ankles, plant the hands, and step the feet back to tabletop if that feels good for you. Spreading out through the hands, find a nice length through the spine. Really press down towards the palms, towards the fingerprints. Toes are pointing down. And then we'll find cat-cow here. We'll have a little more range of motion since we're not seated. So inhaling, lower the belly. Chest comes forward, gaze lifts, pelvis tilts up. Exhale, round it out. A few more rounds of breath here. So we're bringing in that fire, really activating, and then kind of slowing it down. Fantastic work. When it feels right for you, keeping that nice length in the spine, come back to neutral. Prop the toes. Press into the hands so you start to shift the hips back, and then slowly start to lift the knees. Continue to root through the heels. Spine nice and extended as you lift the hips, coming towards our first downward dog. Head comes between the biceps. You can pedal through the feet if that feels good. You could shake the head yes or no. We continue to press into the hands as we lengthen through the arms. Heels are grounding down, but don't worry about them touching. That's not actually a healthy dorsiflexion through the ankles. That's a little too extreme. So just release the heels down, and wherever they hover, they hover. Awesome work. Feel into this full backside body stretch. And then nice and slow, we're going to start to walk the feet up towards the hands. You can bend the knees as much as you need. You can start to come up onto the fingertips if you'd like. Starting to come towards a forward fold. Feet about hip distance. Soften through the knees. Go ahead and release the head, neck, and shoulders down. If a little swaying side to side would feel good here, or maybe grabbing opposite elbows, swaying side to side. Beautiful work. Releasing the arms if the elbows were clasped. Nice and slow. We're going to roll up ragdoll style, so still articulating through the spine. Keep the knees bent. The hands can walk up the legs if you'd like, or they could hover. Take it nice and slow. Coming up to mountain pose. Awesome work. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky. On the exhale, we're going to step the right foot behind the left, take it out to the side as we release the left arm down, right arm down. No, that'd be your left. Sorry, I'm trying to mirror you. As we get this nice side stretch through the oblique, through the hip flexor, through the outer hip. Awesome work. Inhale, come back through center, reaching both arms up. And on the exhale, step the left foot behind as you release the right hand down. Beautiful work. Nice stretch here. Inhale, come back up through center. And exhale, just release the hands down while we set up our chair pose. So you want to find a nice solid planting of the feet. Root down towards all four corners of the feet. Lift up through the toes, spread them out, then set them back down. Softening in the knees. When you're ready, we still got that length in the spine, so inhale to extend through the crown of the head. Exhale, bend the knees, send the hips back. We're coming into chair. Awesome work. Now for this version, since we're gonna do belly or breath of fire here, I want the chest kind of hovering over the thighs. So in some chair versions, the chest is open and we take a back bend. I want the spine nice and straight, so the gaze could be, kind of in front of you or down towards the ground, so you have that nice extension. Hands could come to the thighs, to the hips, to heart center. Whatever feels right for you, and it's your choice how deep you want to bend here. We want to try to keep the knees from going past the toes. So ideally we want to bring them back towards the ankles, but it takes a lot of strength and some flexibility, so work with what you got going on. Just don't bring the knees past the toes. All right, so we're lengthening through the spine, belly drawing in. If you need to clear those nasal passages with a little tissue, take that first. All right, here we go. When you're ready, breath of fire. Keep going. Allow that heat to rise in the belly, in the body and belly. Feel that burn in the quads. Embrace any shaking. Getting stronger here. When you're ready, take the exhale all the way down to empty. Hold it empty. Maybe you lower a little bit further into your chair pose. When you're ready, inhale nice and full as you reach the arms out and up. Come to standing. Hold up full, arms reach up, full side extension here. Hold that breath. Relax around the fullness. And when you're ready, exhale out of the mouth, release the arms out alongside the body. Whew. Awesome work. If it feels good, shake it out. Maybe bounce it out. Maybe get a little weird with it. Just whatever feels good there. I'm sweating. I hope you're sweating. All right. Let's reestablish that connection to the feet. When you're ready, we're going to inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky. On an exhale, we're going to bow it forward, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, take a half lift. Let's pause here. So we're lengthening through the spine. Hands could come to the thighs, to the shins, to the hips, or they could hover. They could extend out into a T. Kind of find the position of the feet that feels best for you. If it's a more narrow stance, if it's a more wide stance. There are lots of different cues for how to position your feet, but it's really up to you what feels right in your body. Awesome work. Continue to lengthen through the crown of the head, out through the tailbone. We're building strength here in the core all along the spine without the weight of gravity compressing down. So this posture here the strength that we're, this position here actually helps with posture. If you'd also like, you could draw the shoulders back, maybe reach the hands back behind you. One more deep inhale and exhale. Release it down. Good work. All right, so we're at the front of our mat in our forward fold. We're just going to step the right foot back, and then we're going to walk the hands towards center so that we're in a wide leg forward fold here. This is where blocks could come in. You could bring the ground closer here. So same kind of idea with that forward fold we just took, just with the legs a little wider. So we'll inhale to that half lift once again. Lengthening through the spine, out through the crown of the head, out through the tailbone. Hands could be on the ground, on blocks. They could come to the hips. They could extend out. They could even reach back behind you. Whatever feels best for you. Ooh, I got some shaking going on in the legs. Embrace the shake. That's the body getting stronger. Really wrap those muscles along the spine. And it's okay if, your hinge isn't at exactly 90 degrees. That is not necessary here. So the chest could be up here or anywhere down here. We just don't want it further than the hips. Awesome work. One more deep inhale and exhale, release it down. Let it go. Round through the spine. Maybe shake out through the head, yes and no. Awesome work. Now from here, we're going to take the right toes and we're going to turn to the back of the mat. We're going to let the left toes follow. So we're just taking a low lunge here. You can lower that back knee down. I just want to give a nice stretch for the hip flexors since we activated those through our core work. So again, blocks could come in handy here to bring the ground closer. Your choice if that knee is down or if it's raised, a little more active here. But feel into this, maybe a little forward and back motion. Getting that nice stretch through that left hip flexor. All right, and when you're ready, we're just gonna flip it around to the other side. So you can bring the blocks with you if you've got them, coming back through center. Walking to the front of the mat, turning all of your toes to the front, finding that lunge. Ooh. Got a little too deep there in my hip flexor. Let me know. Did not like that. So you can go ahead and lower the knee down if that feels good. Find a little movement here. Again, this is just whatever feels best in your body. Just looking to get that stretch through the hip flexor, through the quad. Little, little opening through the hips. Awesome work. Now from here, we're going to release the hands down towards the ground. We're going to come to a plank pose. So it's your choice again if that back knee is lifted and you draw the left foot back into a plank. You could also have the knees down in a half plank. Now, we've got that solid connection down to the hands, just like we had in tabletop. So if it feels better to come through tabletop first and find that activation here, you could walk the hands forward. You could actually stay here in a tabletop plank. Shifting the hips forward will take you into a half plank. Propping the toes, lifting the knees will take you into a full plank. If this doesn't feel awesome on the wrists, try, playing around till it does. Maybe walking the hands forward, maybe turning the fingers out. But if you, have weak wrists or dealing with, any other wrist issues, you're welcome to come down onto the forearms in our plank here. Now we're drawing the belly in, ribs hugging in, and only if it feels safe for you, we're going to bring in a little tick-tock here through the hips. So we're not dipping the hips down, we're not taking the spine out of alignment here. We're just tick-tocking the hips, little side-to-side action, strengthening through the obliques. So again, again, we're here, knees down. You can take this from forearms. Lots of options. Find what feels best for you. Here we go. We've got 3, 2, and 1. Knees release down. Send the hips back. Let's find a child's pose. Arms releasing down. You could turn the palms up if that feels good. If this deep bend in the knees is a little too much, you could leave the hips raised as you lower down into puppy pose, but note that that creates a little more arching in the back. You could also bring in a bolster, cushions, a rolled up blanket, something there along the calves to just kind of cushion that. It's not quite as an extreme bend in that knee. If that feels best for you, and if it doesn't feel good to be on the knees, don't take a child's pose. Go and lie on the back or anything that would feel good here. You could come down onto the belly. We won't spend too much more time here, but just opening up through the low back. Releasing the head and chest down. It's okay if the head doesn't touch, doesn't need to. Awesome work. When you're ready, we'll make our way back up through tabletop. And then find a seated position. So swing the legs around. Come into a seat. We're going to be working, it's going to be a little, I don't want to say an active restore, but we're not going to settle into till the end really deep poses, but we're going to take our time in some stretches. So you may want to bring in a smaller blanket just to bring a little lift in the booty. I'm actually going to fold that one more time. So you can see this is giving me about, coming up on 3 inches lift. And again, that just helps create space here. This is really nice, especially if you have tight hamstrings or a tight low back. If you notice when you sit, you kind of have to sit back or round out, and this just helps create that space there. All right, so with the legs extended, we're going to draw the right knee in, and then let that right knee open up. So it's kind of looking like a seated tree here. Feel free to, adjust anything. This is actually feeling a little high for me. So I'm gonna unfold it one more time. Still have that little lift. There we go. And then we're gonna lengthen up through the crown of the head. That extended leg, that knee could be bent. I want that softness in the knee. But if you like, you can bend it. You can even throw a block underneath there. We're gonna lengthen up through the crown of the head. If it feels okay and feels safe, you can reach the arms up, not necessary. And then with a nice straight spine, we're going to start to bow forward, leading with the chest so that the head stays stacked over the shoulders. And the spine is nice and long here to begin. You could bring blocks in to maybe rest down. And it's tempting to grab the leg, grab the foot, grab whatever you can and pull yourself down. Not necessary. Try to check that. Don't think that, the deeper you go, the better it is. Just meet yourself where you are. Feel into this. Let that right knee drop down. You could even fill in space there if gravity's working a little too much for you right now. All right, now we did lead with the heart so that the head is still extending. You're welcome to stay here, or if it would feel good, you could relax the head down. So we're kind of rolling out here. And maybe bringing in a block or 2 to rest the head down. You can take it, a little more into the restore part with that rest for the head and neck. Or you can just kind of hover, let it be where it is. Meet your body where it is, where you feel that natural resistance, and then back off just a little bit. tempting when we meet that resistance to push forward. So I'm encouraging you to kind of step back a little bit. We don't need to be at 100% of our flexibility in every single pose. We just want to work with our body, with what we got going on. All right, just about 3 more rounds of breath here. All right, now as you come up, nice and slow, you can walk the hands back. So we've got that right knee bent. We're going to bring the right hand back behind us. We're going to swing that left arm up as we start to lean it back. You can stay here, or if it would feel good, you could start to lift the hips. That right knee plants down as we start to find a little more extension, little opening through the hip flexor. Nice little variation of kind of a side plank, or maybe a wild thing kind of variation here. Oh, so taking this just as far as feels okay, staying aware of the neck, of the back. Let's take one more deep inhale, lengthening out through the toes, out through the left fingertips. And exhale, release it down, nice and slow. Beautiful work. Let's draw that right knee up. Extend it out. And maybe shake out through the legs. Notice if one side feels different, having only worked one side. Awesome work. When you're ready, we're drawing that left knee in, letting it drop open. And it doesn't matter where that foot is hitting. If it's down by the calf, awesome. If it's down by the ankle, awesome. If it's up by the knee, perfect. If it's up in the inner thigh, great. Wherever you are, meet yourself there. And you can bring in props. You can support that left knee if there's some space there. We're lengthening up through the crown of the head, sitting up nice and tall, finding that length up first, and then hinging forward, keeping that strength and that length in the spine. So again, the chest is leading at first here. Soften through that right knee. You can even slide a block underneath there if that feels better. Again, resist the urge to grab and pull. Continue to find the breath. I got some shaking in that leg. That is totally natural. Keeping the right toes flexed back. You can continue to lengthen through the spine, leading with the heart, or if it would feel good, rounding in the shoulders, dropping the head down. Again, you could bring in a little more restorative feeling here by maybe stacking some props to rest the head down. Maybe bringing the elbows to props, or the hands. Again, I encourage you to go till you feel that natural resistance and then back off a little bit. So not pushing your flexibility, but honoring your flexibility, wherever that is, whatever level you're at. Knowing that yoga is not about flexibility, it's just a byproduct of it for some. Nice work. About 3 or so more rounds of breath on this side. All right, and when you're ready, nice and slow, walking the hands up. Coming to that nice tall seat. With that left knee bent, we're going to take the left hand behind us. We're gonna swing that right arm up and around as we start to lean back. Again, the hips and booty could stay on the ground, or if it feels good, start to lift through the hips, the left knee plants, as we open up and find some extension here. So as the booty lifts, the hips come forward, just if that feels okay, as we find our wild thing variation here. Maybe opening up through the chest. I'm feeling a little stretch through my left shoulder blade. Pointing down towards the right toes, extending out through the right fingertips. One more deep inhale. And exhale. Release it down. Left knee draws in as it extends out. Shake it out. If it feels good, plant the feet. Another round of windshield wipers. Or anything else that would feel good here. Alright, if there's anything else you'd like to do in this seated position, feel free. And then when you're ready, if you are sitting on a blanket, go ahead and move that out of the way. Find the center of your mat so you got some space to lie back. We're taking it to the ground, but if you want one last little core challenge, we'll take that reverse zombie again if you want. So either knees bent or legs extended as we lengthen through the crown of the head, arms could extend or hands could come back for support. Remember, we're keeping the spine nice and straight for as long as we can. Inhale to lengthen, belly draws in, core hugs in, and exhale, lean it back. Take it nice and slow, and when you need to, round out through the low back, pressing the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, the shoulder blades, eventually the shoulders and head release down. Awesome work. Here we're going to take a nice little side stretch. So we're going to lift the right foot, step it out towards the right. Lift the left foot, step it over towards the right. Maybe do that a few more rounds. And you could end with that left leg or left ankle crossing over the right if that feels good. So you're getting a nice little half crescent shape with the low body. Getting a nice stretch through the outer hip. Maybe feeling it a little up into the psoas. And then if you'd like to bring the upper body into the party, shifting the shoulders towards the right, lifting the head, letting it follow. A few rounds of that till that feels good. So you're making a little banana shape. And if you want, send the arms overhead. You could even grasp on to, or clasp the left wrist with the right hand. Letting the arms hang heavy, but don't feel like the arms need to touch the ground if they don't. That is not necessary. My shoulders are nice and tight, so mine definitely don't reach the ground. Stay aware here, and this is just kind of a little variation of what we took standing. Getting that nice full side body stretch. Ooh, that feels so good. Stretch through the obliques. Just a few more rounds of breath here. When it feels awesome for you, release the wrist if it was clasped. Release the arms down nice and slow alongside the body if they were raised overhead. Coming out just as slowly as we came in, slowly start to lift the head, shift it back towards center. Lift the shoulders, shift it back. Ooh, felt a little twinge in my low back, so I'm going to take this one nice and slow. When you're ready, uncrossing the ankles if they were crossed, slowly stepping the feet back towards neutral, towards our plumb line. Take a moment back in neutral, maybe shake it out. Taking anything here that would feel good for me, since I got that little twinge in my low back. I kind of want to release it there, so I'm going to bend my knees, plant the feet, scoop the tailbone. Alright, did some yard work yesterday, so my back is feeling it. Alright, here we go. With the legs extended, we'll just take this to the other side. So lifting the left foot, stepping it over towards left. Lifting the right foot, stepping it over towards left. Taking as many rounds as you'd like, maybe eventually ending with the left or right ankle crossing on top of the left. Not necessary, that takes a little more extreme, so if that's not feeling right in your body, don't do it. Getting this nice little crescent shape with the low body, getting that stretch in the outer hip. Beautiful work. If you want to bring the upper body into the parte, go ahead and shift the shoulders towards the left and the head. Ooh. I'm feeling some resistance in my body, so my shape doesn't look as deep as I want on the other side, and that is totally fine. I'm not, we don't want to force anything. We don't want to feel like we have to recreate the same exact shape. We want to be guided more by sensation. If it would feel good, arms reach overhead, maybe right wrist clasps, or right hand clasps left wrist. If the arms are overhead, let the elbows drop down. It's okay if the arms don't touch. But if you want to release the arms down and they don't touch, bring in a blanket. Fill in that space. Props are your friends. Few more rounds of breath here. When you're ready, nice and slow, coming out the way we came in, releasing the wrist if they were clasped, releasing the arms down if they were raised. Slowly shifting the head and shoulders back towards center. Slowly the legs back towards center. And pausing in neutral. Feeling into the body. If you're finding anything that feels right, maybe planting the feet, scooping through the tailbone, maybe drawing the knees towards the chest. You could rock side to side. Any kind of movements that would feel awesome here. Like one last final pose before we get into our Shavasana. We got a little bit of time. We'll take a reclined cobbler's pose. So a nice hip opener here. We're going to drop the feet, or plant the feet on the ground and let the knees drop open. You are welcome to bring blocks in to support underneath the knees. You could also bring blankets or a bolster, cushion. Oops, sorry about that. Look what I'm doing. So another nice way to support is, the blanket or cushion or bolster, if you got it, underneath the knees. And letting the knees drop open. You could bring both hands to the belly. One hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. If you're wanting a little more opening through the heart, you could tuck the shoulder blades underneath, opening up through that chest.
If you are familiar with supported heart opener and want to take that, feel free. Bringing something to lift the back of the heart. If you're not familiar with it, we'll do it in another class. But that is an option. Allow the knees to be heavy. Allow the body to sink down. And close the eyes or soften the gaze. And just feel. Allowing all the muscles in the belly to just release and relax. They got some work today. Thanking your core for putting in the effort. Building core strength and stability can help in everyday activities, not just in your yoga practice. Having that strong center to operate from. Be very grounding, very beneficial. So good job for all the hard work you've done. You're welcome to stay here for our Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. If this is feeling awesome for you, you want to stay here for the remainder of class, feel free. If there are any other moves or stretches or anything else that the body's craving to help round out your practice, by all means, take as much time as you'd like to explore those. And if there's a different position you'd like to get yourself into for your Shavasana, for your final relaxation, then when you feel ready, settle into that. You can use props to support you in any way. It can be any position you'd like. Traditionally, Shavasana is corpse pose, lying on the back, palms turned out, toes turned up. If that's not feeling awesome or good for you today, lie on your side, lie on your belly. Do a seated meditation, whatever works for you. The idea in this final pose is to fully surrender. Surrender the body, the mind, and the soul. Allowing the practice that we just did to integrate into the body and mind and soul. To let it go to work for us. And to give us an opportunity to practice surrender, which is one of the hardest things to do as a human. To just let it be. And sometimes that is the best course of action after we've put in all of our effort, all of our might and strength. And we've done all the work that we can. The last thing to do is rest, recover, and surrender. Because we are not human doings. We are human beings. So allow yourself this time to not do, but to just be. do have a little more time to dedicate to your Shavasana, please do. Give yourself as much time and space as you can carve out for this opportunity to just be. If you're ready to close out your practice with me, just slowly start to bring some movement back into the body. If you're on the ground and not there yet, just gently start to roll onto one side of the body. Pausing wherever you are, and just for a moment, offering yourself a little bit of gratitude for carving out this time, for stepping on your mat, for your willingness to work hard, both in mind and body, and for giving yourself the gift of this self-care, this self-love. As you feel ready, if you're not already there, join me up in a seated position. Bring back full circle the way we started. I'll invite you to bring the hands to heart center or to take any other meaningful gesture with the hands. Thank you so much for allowing me into your homes today to share the magic of yoga with you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste. Thank you